Hello and welcome back to another Black Series action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Stormtrooper build. I've got two here, the beginning of an army build I'm hoping to have for my photography, some of my shots. I really would like to have multiples of the clean, the shiny, as you will, the Stormtrooper. So we're going to take a look at what comes in box to start off with. Okay, so I'm going to put this one out of the way. Okay, so first of all, what you're going to get is the classic blaster in the package. Now, this is the standard Stormtrooper blaster, just one-toned black. Much better detail on these newer ones and much firmer plastic they've used. It's not that rubbery kind of cheap kind, which is nice. So you get the kind of small laser sight under barrel, the magazine on the side, and then the kind of sight on the top that doesn't really get used. What I really love about these new blasters, as well as the new hands for the Stormtroopers, is this much tighter fit. It's not that kind of loose falling around fit. So what you're going to get is much tighter grip, and then trigger finger goes there. That's much nicer. And it's just much more fluent. And then the arms as well, because of the way they've changed the build, it means that you can get two hands on the blaster real easy for those kind of standing poses, as well as keeping two hands on the blaster for the most part for all of these dynamic higher arms, you know, sort of poses, which is really good. Some of the older Stormtroopers do struggle to have two hands on the blaster at the same time whilst doing any pose other than in, you know, coming together in the middle across their chest and abdomen. But even then, some of them struggle with that. You have to kind of work your magic to make it look like they've got their hands both on there. But so in the box, all you're going to get is this blaster, unfortunately. But in terms of Stormtrooper, you're not expecting too many accessories anyway. Obviously, there is the Disney Parks exclusive Stormtrooper, which has the blast effect on the chest and the helmet. That came with kind of explosion effects. I have got that. That will be reviewed, and we will be comparing that in that video to the newer builds. As well, to see what's really changed in terms of the sculpts and things like that. But we'll move on to the figure. Okay, so the paint application. So it is just white and black. Of course it is. It's just a regular Stormtrooper. Now the paint applications are still pretty good. There's not much bleeding in general. The detailing on the back area and the kind of canister on the belt there is all pretty good. Again, most of this is mold work, so they've made the mold a certain shape and then it's just, you know, white plastic. They have got some of the detailing here in black, which is very nice, but again, very good job. Obviously not much for them to do because it's white and black. Around the helmet you are going to get slight imperfections. I mean, mine's pretty damn good. On this one, looking at this second figure, it's pretty damn good too. You do get, you know, the occasional mark here or there. It's nothing that you couldn't get off if you really didn't want that on there. But yeah, he's still got that clean, you know, shiny look, like he's never seen a battle, and when he does, he's not going to survive, as we often see with Stormtroopers. But in terms of paint application, I think overall, I mean, nothing to complain about. Very good. On these newer Stormtroopers, I do think that they've put more detail work, more effort into these little details to not bleed them as much, and to not have as many sort of just mistakes to mass produce them. I feel like they've got their craft down now. Okay, so moving on to articulation. So what I really love about these new Stormtroopers especially, but you know, with the new Black Series figures in general, is that the articulation has just gone to new heights, which is fantastic. You know, looking at some of the older builds and thinking to yourself, well, I wish it was a little bit better, but you know, it's as good as you're going to get for the price point. What they've done here is brilliant because the price point has stayed virtually the same. You know, you get some of the gaming greats, and the carded deluxes, and you know, all that sort of stuff that do have a little bit of a price increase, but they're not out of the range where you're starting to get towards figure arts or anything like that. You're still in that, you know, action figure affordable Black Series range, which is what Hasbro is really shooting for here. It's the same as sort of Marvel Legends and that sort of thing. They're really trying to go with both screen accuracy and just an amazing looking figure that articulates, but you know, at a budget. You know, you aren't spending lots of money here. But with these new builds, I mean, so from the ground up, you've got a nice toe points there, nice pivot in the ankles, which is nice. We like to see that so we don't have to have toe to sky when we're trying to put someone in a dynamic pose. Then you've got nice rotation of the lower leg, which is fantastic. Really good bend at 90 degrees. It's not double jointed, but to be honest, the other articulation on this figure makes up for the fact that there's no double joints. I like that there's no double joints on the Stormtrooper because it would kind of ruin the look of the placing of the armor. But because, for example, like here, you can see that you can get 90 degrees in a flat toe and so much hip bend and arm movement and head movement that you really don't need the double joint, which is fantastic. So yeah, single joint in the knees, moving up to the hips, you can get pretty good split. Leg will come up. This I like that this little kind of belt accessory does bend. That's kind of what I think we should have seen on the older sculpts of like the original Boba Fett and things like that, where the belt wasn't as bendy and pliable so that you couldn't move the legs up, whereas this, you can really get him to, again, up at the hip. 90 degrees is fantastic. And when you look at that, bends up a bit, push it down, and it's going to bend down. And if you want to, you can kind of bend it back, but it's going to bend back on its own, really. At the hips, you are going to get a decent abdomen wiggle. So 360, that's a fantastic pivot, left and right, so side to side. And then nice ab crunch and back, very good. So moving on to the chest area and the upper armor. So the upper armor on the Stormtrooper is actually loose. I don't know if you can kind of see the wiggle. There you go, in focus. So that wiggle is great because it's not set, the pieces don't clash into each other. It means that the armor will move in tandem with where you're trying to go, and it won't get in the way. It'll actually work with the other pieces. So you can see when the head comes forward, it doesn't, you know, obstruct, and when you go back, you can move it as well, which is really good. So as well, moving on to the arms. So with these shoulder pauldrons, what they've done is, instead of attaching it at the arm and trying to work out it going up under the torso or over the torso, this one is actually, if you can see, actually attached. Here we go. Actually attached at the torso, so the arm can move freely and the torso will just bend up with you, which is great because then you've got great wrist 360 movement, elbow 360 like that, and then at the arm you can really get the arm up past 90, which is fantastic because you've got that kind of T-pose going, but it means that you can really get that arm up and up forwards and up backwards, and you can just make the armor kind of work with the pose you're going for, which I think is fantastic because some of the older figures are, you know, their articulation is hindered by the build, whereas this build is trying to factor in the articulation, which I think is great because, you know, I'm sure you can agree, the figure looks amazing. The new Stormtrooper just looks fantastic. Look at that, it's just so awesome. And when you think about, okay, the figure looks even better, you know, it's upgraded, they've upgraded the look, it looks fantastic, and then the articulation has been upgraded with it. You know, you haven't lost something to get that. It's just awesome, it's brilliant. So yeah, really good in the arms. The head, also fantastic. So what they've done with the head is, you've got in these new Stormtroopers, you know, they've got the it's kind of strange. They've got the clone, I don't know if I can see an angle here where you can see, but up in there, it's not a ball and socket joint. There is a head sculpt. It's actually a blank clone head that they've used on the clones as well, the new wave clones, and I like that they've used a head sculpt because it shows that you can use a more head shaped sort of helmet that's actually scaled in the right way, rather than this big wide bucket dome that just has a ball inside, which, although on the older Stormtroopers that have that, like the Disney Parks exclusive Stormtrooper with the blast effects, like you do get really good articulation in the head because it's only the ball, but you can kind of see that massive gap in the neck, whereas this, you can kind of see the, it's got that turtleneck kind of look where it looks like he's got, he's black undersuit and then he's got an actual head in there. The scale of the head looks right, which I think is fantastic. Also as well, what they've done with it is the head can come forward and back, because they've kind of given the Stormtrooper, rather than just having articulation, because his head will go 360. He's got pretty good look up. Let's see if we can see. Pretty good look up. Fantastic chin to chest, and because of the ab crunch, obviously that works in tandem. But if you can see the neck, see if I can get it in focus for you. The neck will go forward and back. He's going to cut that chicken cluck, but that's really good because it means that when you come forward and down, you get a bigger range of motion than just down from here. You get to come forward and down, and backwards and up, which is fantastic. If you can kind of see here, here's down from the back, and then here's push the head forward and then look down. You get much better movement, and it's just a fantastic concept. I really like it. So let's talk versatility. The Stormtrooper, in my opinion, is the best figure to have, whether you're starting out, you're a veteran, you're a army builder, you're a photographer, you want to customize it, take it apart. The Stormtrooper is just fantastic. It's in virtually every single Star Wars content you can see, whether it's original trilogy, whether it's animated, whether it's comics, whether it's anything really. I mean, the Stormtrooper is synonymous with Star Wars, and honestly, although the Stormtrooper isn't an individual, the Stormtrooper is my favourite character in the Star Wars universe. I just think that the look is fantastic. I love the Stormtrooper helmet look, and I love the armour look. Obviously, in terms of characters, individual characters, I have favourites like Vader, Anakin, Luke, but in terms of the look, I just think that it's fantastic because they have so much personality, even though you never see a face under there. I really like that. And what I really like in tandem with that is that the clones had, although they had the exact same face because they were clones, they were individuals and they customized things and you got to see under their helmet. Whereas with Stormtroopers, you don't get that, but they don't lose anything. They don't lose any kind of, personality in that way. Stormtroopers are Stormtroopers, and it's kind of cool because they always get their ass handed to them, but we kind of like that. We like to see them show up because it means there's going to be a big action scene, like the Mandalorian and things like that. When they show up, it's going to go down. So in terms of versatility, I think there's not a single collector out there respectively who could say that the Stormtrooper is not versatile and not a very significant character. I think it's a must have. You've got to have a Stormtrooper in your collection. I mean, come on. I've got multiples. I've got I like to have multiples of the same shiny look, to have like regiments and squads. I've got multiples of the Disney Park exclusive with the battle damage, because then you can also do those kind of fight scenes where it looks like the Stormtroopers have actually been hit. They got the blaster burns, and then I've got kind of like the remnants coming, which again I can't wait to actually get those in hand and review them myself, but you know, from what I've seen, the weathering is only on the front, which is so disappointing because they look fantastic from the front. But who made that decision to not carry it on with the back? I mean, I know that it's, you know, it's probably a money decision, but you know, that's just my 2 cents. Okay, so to wrap up this review of the New Wave Star Wars The Black Series Mandalorian Stormtrooper, I think it's a 9 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic figure. The articulation is excellent. The build, the design of these new figures is fantastic. It's encapsulated the iconic look of a Stormtrooper, but it's just upgraded in you know, the paint applications, the shape of the helmet, the proportions, the articulation, the paint application. It's just all there, and you know, you're going to be hard pressed to find a figure that can be a 10 out of 10, because that means that it's absolutely flawless, and I think that it's disingenuous to say something is a 10 out of 10 just lightly. So you know, one of my favourite figures in the collection, and I think it's a 9. It's a well-earned 9. Yeah, so fantastic. I hope you enjoyed. Awesome figure. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.